Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa atba'ihi ajma'in. So we have reached the chapter of the subject and the predicate, right? The nominal subject and the predicate. And we, if you guys remember, we are still in the parent chapter of marfu'atul asma, meaning the nouns that are marfu', that have the inflection of rafa. So here, what we will do is we will talk about the predicate, because as we said, one type of noun that is marfu' is the subject, but the nominal subject always comes with a predicate, right? A nominal subject cannot complete a sentence, cannot be a complete sentence. It needs a predicate. So last week we talked about the nominal subject, and inshallah today we will talk about the predicate. So in Arabic, the predicate is called al-khabar. The author says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. The author says رحمه الله: والخبر قسمان مفرد وغير مفرد. فالمفرد نحو قولك زيد قائم، وغير المفرد أربعة أشياء: الجار والمجرور، والظرف والفعل مع فاعله، والمبتدأ مع خبره. نحو قولك زيد في الدار، وزيد عندك، وزيد قام أبوه، وزيد جاريته ذاهبة. Okay, so the first sentence, al-khabaru qismani. He says, the author says that the predicate is of two types. So let me go ahead and translate it. and the predicate is of two types. It's kind of slow, but it should catch up. Okay. Two types: singular and not singular. Okay. Such and an example for an example for the singular subject or predicate is Zaid is a standard. Okay. So what do you mean by the predicate being of two types is simple, meaning there are just two types of the predicate has two types, but the types are kind of hard to understand. He says singular and non-singular. Singular and non-singular. What does it mean by singular and non-singular? When he says singular, does he mean what is not dual and what is not plural? Or what is he talking about? Something else? So singular here means something more general, something different than when we say singular referring to quantity, right? In Arabic, mufrad can be used in multiple ways. Mufrad can be used to mean singular in quantity, meaning with the singular that is the opposite of the plural, right? The opposite of dual. It could also mean singular, and in the sense that it is one word and not a statement, right? So if it's just one word, regardless of that word, regardless of whether that word in quantity is plural or dual or singular, if it's just one word, would call it mufrad, singular. And what would be its opposite would be a statement, and a statement is not just one word, right? It's a collection of words. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, yes, Sheikh.
Okay, so I will give you examples, inshallah, which will make it more clear. So فالمفرد, the example he gives for al-mufrad, meaning the singular predicate, is Zaydun qa'imun. You see, Zayd is the subject, and qa'imun is the predicate. Is qa'imun, is it one word, or is it a statement, or is it a sentence?
Single word.
It's one word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one word, exactly. So this would be a singular predicate. Okay, singular predicate. Another example, and these are not the author's examples, so I will try to make the distinction. Okay, yeah. as الزيدان قائمان. الزيدان قائمان, meaning the two Zaids are standing. Is this the two Zaid, الزيدان is the subject, قائمان is the predicate. Is قائمان singular or non-singular, and based on our new definition? Is it one word or multiple words?
Singular, is it?
Yeah, it is singular. It is singular because, as I said, when with the new definition that we gave, the al-mufrad, even the plural and the dual would fall underneath it, because it's not about quantity anymore. It is about whether it's one word or a statement. It is whether it's one word or a sentence. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the author continues and he says, وغير المفرد أربعة أشياء. He says, and non and non singular predicates are of four types. Now he's going to name all the types for us. Now he doesn't have any numbers, but I'll put numbers as well, so it makes it easier. One, what we call al-jar wal-majrur. So what I have, the way I will just transliterate it for now, and then I will explain it. Or maybe even better, I should do something else. Yeah, I think this needs a bit of explanation. So what I will do is, yeah, I think I'm gonna add one more slide here. Bear with me, guys, brothers. Let's duplicate a slide here. Okay. So these two are the same, yeah. So what I will do is, we don't need this part because this is fairly simple. Okay. So I'm gonna give each of these its own line. And I'm gonna explain it to you what each means. We need one more slide. Okay. Okay, so we are discussing the non-singular now. We said the non-singular predicate are 4 types. The non-singular predicates are 4 types. Or the non-singular predicate is of 4 types. الجار والمجرور. الجار والمجرور. الجار والمجرور. You guys remember when we discussed the letters of khafd? Does anyone remember? I need 1 letter of khafd from each of you if you remember. If you don't remember, I can tell you what they are.
الشيء قال اسم مين لا على.
Yeah, min is one of them. Ala is one of them. Yeah, but don't give all of them away, and let's see if anyone else remembers.
All right. I had just memorized them since the beginning.
Yeah.
Like a trick. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think everyone remembers now because like min, ala, and ruba, fi, ila, kaf. There are a lot of them that are not even mentioned in the book, but basically what these letters do, they're agents, and they're the agents of khafd. They make what comes after them mahfud, right? So
Yes.
there are 2 schools of thought in when it comes to the Arabic language, just like in fiqh. There are 4 schools of thought, right? The Hanbali, the Hanafi school, the Maliki school, the Shafi'i school, and the Hanbali school. In Arabic grammar as well, there are 2 schools of thought. The school of thought of the Basris, and also of the Kufis. And also sometimes you hear about the language of the Tamim, or the language of different tribes like Hijaz, and they say and do things differently. The Arab, and sometimes in the grammar it slightly differs from tribe to tribe, or from region to region. But the main schools of thought, that have always mentioned in the books, are these is the madhab of the Basris and the madhab of the Kufis. And the author, rahimahullah, as is evident in multiple places in the book, not just here but other places as well, follows the madhab of the Kufis. Either follows the madhab of the Kufis completely, or follows the madhab of the Kufis in certain aspects of grammar, because for sure there are things in the book that indicate that he follows the position of the Kufis. One of those indications is he uses khafd at the beginning instead of jar, because khafd and jar, they mean the same thing. They both refer to the inflection. You remember how many types of inflections do we have? We have rafa, we have nasab, we have khafd, and we have jazm. You guys remember?
Yes.
rafa, nasb, khafd and jazm. Now the third one has two names. One of them is khafd, which we've already gone over. The other one is jar, al-jar, right? And the madhab of the Kufis, they refer to it as khafd. In the madhab of the Basris, they refer to it as al-jar. That's the difference. That's what where it comes from. That's why there are two names for the same thing. Basically, different schools of thought call it different things. Different schools of thought, yeah, call it different things. So here, the author here tells us the other name, the name that the Basris use. Why? Because when when it comes to this particular topic, no one says al-khafid wal-makhfud, right? This is a specific combination of letters and words. When you have a letter of khafd coming before a noun, you call the letter of khafd al-jar, and you call the noun al-majrur. You call the letter of khafd al-jar, and you call the noun that has the inflection of khafd because of the letter of khafd al-majrur. So this combination, basically whenever you have a letter of khafd and a noun that is makhfud, this combination is called al-jar wal-majrur. And everyone uses this statement, this terminology. They call it al-jar al-majrur, regardless of which madhab you're in, right? They call it al-jar wal-majrur. So that's what the author uses here. But in reality, this means basically if we go we change the name to something that you're more familiar with, this would be al-khafid wa al-makhfud, right? What is al-khafid? And al-khafid is the letter of khafid, and makhfud is the noun which has the inflection of khafid. Do you guys remember when I told you the difference between rafa and marfu', nasab and mansub, khafid and makhfud, jazm and majzum? What the
Yeah,
difference
Sheikh.
is?
One
Yeah,
describes Sheikh. One
yeah.
describes the type of inflection.
Hmm.
For example, say Rafa, it would
Yeah.
signify the type of inflection. But
Hmm.
after having the inflection of Rafa, the word would be called Mahfud.
Very
So the
good.
word
Very
would
good.
be
Barakallah.
as
Yes. So this is this applies
Sheikh.
to all of them. Yes.
If you hear background noise from my mic, just let me know because there are
Yeah.
people very loud around here. So just
Yeah.
mute me.
No problem.
So
Yeah. No
yes.
problem. Yeah. Inshallah. Inshallah, I will let you know. So far, it hasn't been a problem, so it's okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So here, the same concept. When we say al-makhfud is the noun which has the inflection of khafd. When we say al-majrur, again, it's the same concept, but using the different name, using the different terminology, which is what al-jar. We said khafd is the same as al-jar. Um, Let me actually write it here. Al al-khafd equals al-jar. So these are the same. They mean the exact same thing. They both refer to the inflection. Okay, and now, so al-jar is basically the letter of khafd that comes before it, and al-majrur is the noun which has the inflection of khafd. So, for example, Bismillah, Bismillah, ba would be considered al-jar, because it is the letter of khafd. And what would ismi be considered based on what we have mentioned right now? What would ismi be?
Makhfud or
Yes,
majroor.
majroor. Very good, very good. Very good. So ba is al-jar, and ismi is al-majroor. So now going back to our topic, sometimes the predicate can be a combination of al-jar and al-majroor. Now, is this a combination singular or non-singular based on our definition? Is it one word or multiple words? It's the letter of khafd and the noun of khafd. And remember, letters are also considered words, right? So we have how many words? One or two?
2 words here. Wow.
2 words. So 2 words.
Right.
That therefore this would be a non-singular. It would be murakkab in Arabic, we call it, or a statement. Right? This would be a statement, not just a word. Even though it's not a statement that is a complete sentence, but it doesn't really matter whether it's a complete sentence or not, as long as it is a statement, or it would fall under the non-singular predicates. Okay, so does this make sense? And
Yeah, it
I will
does.
give you an example at the. We'll give you more examples at the end, inshallah. So al-dharf is situation. For example, you say in the bottle, right? You say on the mountain, right? You say underneath the book, right? So these are all situations, like where is something situated, right? Where is something situated? And al-dharf is basically describes where something is situated. It is the situation, right? We call the situation. For example, I would translate it as the situation. The situation. Okay. The situation. Yeah, like an example I gave was what? Like in the house, for example. Right? And that would be, or a better example, so it doesn't contradict, it doesn't overlap the previous type, which is al-jar al-majroor. For example, when I say someone is with you, when I say someone is with Peter, I am describing their situation. Where are they situated? Where are they? Where is their location? They are with Peter, right? So that's what we mean by al-dharf. So this would be would his brother, and in Arabic we would say عند أخيه. عند أخيه. So this is this one word or multiple words? Is it singular or non-singular?
This is not singular as well.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, let me give you a complete example. This would be our predicate, but you would need a subject, right? Someone needs to be next to with his brother. So you would say Zayd, Zaydun inda akhihi. Zayd is with his brother. This would be the subject and the predicate. But you see how the predicate is not a singular now. It's not one word. It's not singular. It is a statement. Yeah. So that is what we're referring to here. Okay. Now the next. So we said 4. We have gone through 2. Al-jar wal-majrur wal-dharf. And then the next one is al-fi'l ma'a fa'ilihi. Now this sometimes the predicate can be a complete statement, can be a complete sentence, and the fa'l would the verb with its doer or what its verbal subject is a statement, is a sentence. For example, what would be what would be an example of fa'l ma'a fa'ilihi? The following. قام or أكرم صديقه. he was generous to his friend. He was generous to his friend. He showed generosity to his friend. He showed generosity to his friend. الفعل مع فاعله أكرم صديقه. And non-singular predicates are all for. Okay. I need to change this translation because I think it was just a copy paste. And the verb and the verbal with its subject. And the verb with its subject, such as he was generous to to his friend. So akrama sadiqahu, is this would this be singular or non-singular? This would be non-singular, right? Because there are multiple words here. Yeah. As soon as I lose you or as soon as you have any questions, please do let me know. And the last, yeah, go ahead, sorry. I will give you the complete example. For example, this would be Zaydun akrama sadiqahu. Zayd would be the subject, akrama sadiqahu would be the predicate. Zayd was generous to his friend. Zayd was generous to his friend. Now here in English, I know it becomes or actually let me give you another example that may be more correct. I think this would be more correct. ذهب صديقه. Because in the previous example, it was kind of confusing with the subject. But here, the subject of the first, the subject of the big sentence is different than the subject of the small sentence, and I'll explain what that means. His friend left. So Zayd, his friend left, right? This would be how it. Zayd, his friend left. Zayd is the subject. His friend left is the predicate. His friend left is has two components. It has the verb and it has the subject of the verb. The verb is leaving. the subject of that verb is Zayd's friend, right? So the first subject, meaning the subject of the big sentence, is Zayd, and then the small sentence, which is the predicate of the big sentence, has a subject and a verb. The verb is leaving, and the subject is Zayd's friend, his friend, right? ذهب صديقه. Inshallah, I'll explain that a bit more. Does that make sense, Brother Fahd? A bit more? A little bit more?
Yeah, it does. Thank you, brother. Jazakallah.
No problem. I read your mind. Jariyat. Okay, so mubta, and the last type of predicate is the subject and the predicate. The subject and the predicate. Now here we're talking about the subject and the predicate, right? The subject is one of the marfu' nouns, and then we have reached the predicate, and the predicate is another marfu' noun. And we said the predicate is of two types, the singular and the non-singular. We talked about the singular and the non-singular. The last type of the non-singular predicate is another subject and predicate. So we have a subject and a predicate, and the predicate of that subject and predicate is another subject and predicate, right? So it could be could be an infinite loop, but you obviously at some point you're gonna stop because it's not gonna make sense anymore. So for example, you say let's use صديق again. صديقه قائم. His friend is standing. His friend is standing, right? So okay, this is the fourth type, and the subject and its predicate. You would say زيد صديقه قائم. Friend is his friend is a stander. His friend is a stander. Now the subject would be Zayd. You would say زيد صديقه قائم, right? زيد صديقه قائم. Zayd is the subject. صديقه قائم is the predicate, and the predicate is not a singular word. It's not one word. It's composed of multiple words, and actually it makes up a sentence because it is another subject and predicate. Therefore, therefore it is non-singular. So it becomes Zaydun صديقه قائم. Zaydun is the subject, and صديقه قائم, all of it together is the predicate. So here, now let's go to the examples that the author gives. Now let me quickly go. Let me go over them. The first one is what al-jar wal-majrur, or al-khafid wal-makhfud, which means the letter of khafid and the noun that is makhfud. The letter of khafid and the noun that is makhfud. The letter of khafid and noun that is and the noun that is makhfud. Okay. والظرف عند أخيه. Okay, so the first one is al-jar wal-majrur. The letter of khafd and the noun that is makhfud. Al-zarf, which is the situation, right? Where is someone situated? الفعل ومع فاعله, and the verb with its subject. والمبتدأ مع خبره, and the subject with its predicate. Now keep those in mind, and the author will give us all those examples for every single one of them in the same order. So the first example is for jar al-majrur, the letter of khafd and makhfud. So the letter of khafd is fi, right? The letter of khafd is fi. And ad-dar is the makhfud, the noun that is makhfud. Zaid is in the house, right? Zaid is the subject, is in the house is the predicate, and is what basically ties the two. In Arabic, we don't have this this part of speech that ties the subject and the predicate. In other languages, in Farsi and in Kurdish, for example, in Greek, I believe there is this part that and the predicate, but in Arabic, the subject and the predicate are there is something implicit that connects them. You don't necessarily have to mention it. For example, in English, we have is that connects the subject and the predicate. In Farsi, we have ast. In Kurdish, we have a, right? Perhaps in Bengali, there is something as well, or perhaps not. I'm not sure. But in Arabic, we don't have that component that connects the subject and the predicate. And that is something interesting to keep in mind. Okay, jar al-jar wal-majrur, which means the letter of khafd and the noun which is made makhfud because of that letter of the of khafd. And the example that he gives is Zaydun fiddar. And then the second example he gives is Zaydun indaka. Zayd is with you. This is for which one? Which type? For the situation, right? Zayd is with you. Indaka is the predicate, and it is composed of two words. The first one is inda, which means with. The first one is inda, which means with. And the second one is kaf, which means you. It's a pronoun. It's a pronoun. I believe we will get to that. We haven't gotten to this pronoun yet, but. And then the third example he gives is for the verb and its subject becoming the predicate of the sentence. For example, qama is the verb meaning stood. Abuhu, his father, is the subject of qama, subject of stood. And collectively, the two words or the sentence becomes a predicate for our subject, which is Zayd. Zaydun qama abuhu. Zayd, his dad is a stander, or someone. Zayd, his dad is standing. The reason I'm including stander is to translate word by word. I'm sorry, this is actually wrong. I translated it wrong. His dad, I should say his dad, because this is a verb. This is not the. I confused it with the next example. So it should be his dad stood, right? This is a verb. I said stander is a noun. Stood is a verb. So stood is the verb, and the subject is dad. And dad is stood. His dad stood is the predicate for our sentence, or for the subject, which is Zayd. Zaydun qama abuhu. Any questions so far? Okay. The last type the last example he gives for, which is for the last type. The last type was when the predicate is another subject and predicate, right? Zaydun jariyatuhu dhahibatun. Zayd, his servant, is leaving. right? And what I should, I'm not sure, I don't think, so we need to use the agent noun for leave, and the agent noun for leave would be lever, but that doesn't, no one uses this word. And it may even have a different meaning. So yeah, I can leave it as a lever, someone who leaves. I'm not even sure if that's a valid word, or definitely, I know no one uses it, but to make something an agent noun, you either add an er or or to the end, right? And this is what we are doing here. We are making qiyas. We are making qiyas, even though sama, meaning we do not hear anyone using this word. So here, this is the last one. Zaid, his servant, is a lever. Or is leaving. Basically, this would mean is leaving, to make it translate in a way that makes sense. Right. So Zaid is the subject. His servant is leaving, or is a lever, is the predicate. And the predicate itself has a subject and a predicate. His servant is a subject, and is leaving, or is a lever, is the predicate, right? So that's about it, regarding the predicate. There's nothing else that the author mentions. He moves on to the next chapter, but for a beginner, this is more than enough, right? So next time you read the Quran, if you have if you see any sentences like this, try to figure out which type it falls under, whether it falls under the jar and majrur, or the zarf, which is the situation, or the verb with its subject, or the subject and predicate. Any questions, brothers? Did this make sense, or was this overcomplicated? What happened to my... Oh, someone changed our background again. This is really annoying. Because it was recorded like this. Can whoever change the background?
Check, it could have been me, because this is the first time I'm going to Skype using my cell phone. So
okay, no problem. You have an excuse, but yeah. Please change the background. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Is it all right now?
I don't want to check because it's going to go on the recording. Can someone check for us?
Really sorry about that. I apologize.
No problem. No problem. Can someone check, Brother Alamuddin or Fahad, how is the background right now?
It's good, brother.
I guess now you're sharing the slides, right? So I cannot see any background there.
Oh, but check. Oh, you cannot see me? Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I can see you actually. There's a thumbnail there, and at the top, everyone's thumbnail, thumbnail-sized videos are appearing, and in those videos there is no background.
Okay, yeah, so it's not going away. So let's just, it's fine.
And now there is a background. So whenever you actually come back to that screen, the main screen, there is a background. But if you're trying to look at your thumbnail size of that, at the top there, you have these icons. For each person, there is icons. So there is no background over there.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so it's fine. Do you have any questions on this chapter?
Me, no, not exactly. I have to go over it.
Okay, Brother Fahd, do you have any questions?
I had a question, brother. Could you give the answers to the assignment from from the assignment a couple of weeks ago? I'm not sure if I got them all right.
Yeah, you're okay. So please, do you have the assignment up on your side?
Yes, I do.
I forget what the assignment was. Can you like tell me the questions and I'll give you the answers.
It was the with the subject and the predicate for the hidden the hidden pronouns. Let's say I am a standard, we are standards, you are a standard. So how would we translate them? Like ana kaimun, nahnu kaimuna. So how
I
there are
see.
like 12 of.
Yeah, okay. So I know
You
what
can,
you're talking. I think let me.
brother, you
wait.
can give it later if you want to. That's all
I
right.
can. No, I can. What I can do is I can reply back to your email, and I know I apologize. I haven't graded a few things that you have sent me, which inshallah I will try to do. But I know what you're talking about. So you're saying, for example, ana qa'imun, right? So for ana, which if ana is the subject, what would you put for the predicate? You would put ana qa'imun. You would put ana qa'imun, right? If it was nahnu, the predicate would be plural. You would say nahnu qa'imuna, right? Let me actually write all of them here. Okay, so you would say ana qa'imun. This is easy. And then you would say nahnu qa'imuna. Why do we say qa'imuna? Because nahnu is plural, therefore the predicate needs to be plural as well. Because we said the subject, the predicate always needs to match the subject when it comes to quantity, when it comes to plurality and singularity and duality. Nahnu qa'imuna, and then you say anta qa'imun.
Qaimun.
Yeah, or singular. Then you say anti, meaning female. Anti qa'imatun. You have to add this ta of femininity to it, right? And then you would say, actually, let me do something first. So you would say for two males, for the dual, masculine dual, you would say antuma, and this is the same thing for the feminine dual, and also a combination of a man and a woman. You would use antuma. Antuma qa'imani. You say qa'imani because it's a dual, and then you would say antum qa'imuna. Antum qa'imuna. And then and then for the feminine, you say anti qa'imatun, right? And then the same thing, antuma qa'imatani, but you have to keep with this ta, yeah. And then you say antunna, meaning you plural for feminine. Antunna, you say qa'imat. Remember the plural for feminine is alif. You add alif and ta to it. Qa'imat. Antunna qa'imat. Antunna qa'imatun. And then you say huwa qa'imun. This is the third person, masculine. Then you would say huma qa'imani. Then you would say hum, third person, plural masculine. Hum qa'imuna. And then for the female, you would say hiya qa'imatun, third person feminine, singular. And then third person dual feminine, you say huma. You would say use huma again, qa'imatani. And then you would, for third person plural feminine, you would say hunna, right? Hunna. Hunna is the word to use. Hunna. هن هن قا قائمات. هن قائمات. Does this answer your question?
Yes, brother. Thank you very much.
No
I made a couple
problem.
of mistakes, so yeah, that was very helpful.
No problem. Alhamdulillah. We just gave away the answer to everyone who did not do the assignment. So everyone owes Brother Fahad. You should send him a gift or something. Okay, so we are done. I will stop the recording, inshallah. Any questions before I stop the recording? Okay, if no questions, inshallah, we'll stop the recording, and I will come back on Skype after the call if you have any unrelated questions. I do want to mention something after the call, inshallah, if you guys could stick around. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين.